Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm joined by Suvi Honkanen.
Hello.
Today we're going to be looking at how we prepare our pointe shoes, which is really exciting. We're going to be going into tons of detail, starting with what our pointe shoes are and then how we sew them and whether that's changed over the years. So let's dive in. So everyone's really unique in how they prepare their own pointe shoes, you know?
Yes.
I think some things stay the same, such as where the ribbons go, although some people may change that up as well. First of all, tell us, Suvi, what shoes you wear in the first place.
I wear Capezio. I used to wear, I had Grishko and then I had Gainerminden, but I've had Capezio for the past, I would say, 10 years.
What made you change from Grishko to Gainerminden?
I believe I was in the States at the time, so I was studying at Boulder Ballet School. And I went to get new pointe shoes, and at the time they were a new thing. So the pointe shoe fitter was like, we have this new pointe shoe brand, it's called Gainerminden. It's very comfortable, you don't need to wear toe pads. And I was like, yeah, I would like to try. And that's how it started, yeah.
Yeah.
This was in 2002, maybe.
Wow, it's so different though, Gainermindens, right?
Yeah, very different.
The transition. And then
Yes.
transitioning from Gainermindens to now Capezio, was that hard?
That was very, very hard. I loved Gainermindens, but the company I was dancing at didn't really, or the director disliked them. So I had to change, sadly. But now I can't change back anymore, so
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
super tough.
stuck. Yeah.
Well,
What about you?
Yeah, well, as some of you guys know, I wear Bob Martin. So initially, he was working with Gamba, which is this brand that doesn't really exist anymore, I don't think. And then he created his own business, and it was just called Bob Martin. And he used to do Darcy Bustle's shoes. He did Marinella's shoes. I think she switched to Freed now. Francesca Hayward, you know, lots of Royal Ballet because he's London-based. But then he's retired because he's quite elderly, and he gave his business to Block. So now Block make my custom shoes, even though I still order through him sometimes. And yeah, I have tons of specifications, and these have changed a lot over the years, which is quite interesting. Like, as I've become stronger, they have become a bit softer in places.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, when I was at Vaganova with you, do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but Sydney Kova and Gennady Zalutsky, they hated my shoes.
I do remember that. Yes.
Do you remember?
I remember.
Because they were actually rock solid.
Yeah.
It was when they were too hard at the time, and I couldn't make them look really kind of pliable, and they absolutely hated my shoes, and I couldn't do anything really about it until the summer. And now, for example, they pop when I break them, so there's less paste down here now, so they're much more pliable. But yeah, lots of things which we'll go through as we progress through the video. But yeah, so tell us as well, before we get into the sewing, what's this on the end of your shoes?
So this, it's a lot of dancers darn their shoes. So essentially this is what that is. But at FMB there is a shoemaker who does this with a certain type of glue and like, what would you call this? It's
like thread? What is that, fabric?
Yeah, it's like rope, narrow rope, almost, I would say. So he did this, and I loved it because it helps to balance a lot. As you can see, the shoe stays.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I find it easier to turn and balance with this. And then when I left the company, I really couldn't live without it anymore. So I know a guy who does it for me.
She knows a guy who knows a guy.
I think another option for me would be just to darn it myself, but I prefer this.
If you can get someone to do it, oh my gosh, do it.
It's perfect.
Darning takes a long time.
Look at that. Oh. Look at that.
That's amazing, because look, mine's not darned at all.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
And mine can't stay up. I use my own balance.
Whatever.
Yeah, but for me, I never usually darned at all, mainly because my shoes would break relatively quickly, and I couldn't really be bothered to do it. I just kind of would cut the satin off so it wasn't slippery anymore. So and we can show you how to do that.
Yeah. I put leather on it to make it not slippery.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just cut it off and then Occasionally I would thread just over the top to make sure the satin doesn't wear away. Yeah. Okay, let's get into how we do our ribbons. So first of all, I use darning thread, and usually quite a large needle, because essentially I hate the struggle of threading, of trying to find the hole, you know, it's like really takes hours. So I like to choose quite a big, thick needle, which doesn't really make a difference when I actually thread. And then I double it up and I go quite long, because I don't like either wasting time changing it.
I use a normal needle, I would say, and I use floss, like what you use for
dental
your teeth.
Floss.
Dental floss.
So you floss your teeth whilst you do your point shoes?
No.
I'm kidding.
But I also do double it.
So wait, tell us why you use floss. It's a well-known thing, but for those that don't know.
It's just a bit more durable. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like.
really thick and sturdy.
Yep.
Plus, it makes your point shoes minty fresh.
Oh yeah. Plus, if you ever need to floss in between rehearsals.
Yeah, and ballet dancers are known for having, you know, a little bit of an odor going on in the feet. The floss can help.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've never had a ribbon or anything come undone with using thread.
Yeah, me too, actually.
With using floss.
I think when you use normal thin thread,
It's not good.
it just breaks really quickly. Because think how much your ribbons are kind of pulling on the sides.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the ribbons, I've got two choices here. You have the shiny ones, and I've also got the sort of pinker ones, which I usually use, which really match the point shoe. Now, these, in this day and age, are quite old-fashioned ribbons. Like, these are sort of classic ribbons, whereas a lot of people use elasticated ribbons now. Do you have elasticated?
I don't like those. I've tried, but I don't like them.
No, why don't you like them?
Probably it's just something that I'm not used to, but also I feel like it's not as secure somehow.
I know.
I don't know. I'm like, is it gonna? Whoa,
Because
I feel like I can't trust it.
Yeah, because I feel like this is completely taut, like completely solid. Whereas an elastic, if I went on demi-point, it would almost,
Yeah, I don't like that.
The shoe could fall off.
Yeah, I want it to be.
I did, for a time, try the ribbons that have half elastic on them for the Achilles.
I tried that too, but I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
Can you give me your scissors for a moment?
Yes.
I'm just gonna take this ribbon off so I can put it back on.
Yeah, no problem. In terms of how I usually prepare the ribbons, so I tend to, in terms of the length, I always go longer than I need, because you know, there's no going back if you cut it too short.
Yeah.
So I go quite long, and then I will double that up and do that 4 times actually.
Yeah.
So we'll
then
go
you cut it.
ta-dam, and then from there we'll go in again. I feel like we're doing almost like a cooking show. Here's one I made earlier. Yeah. All right, so when you're ready, I will then... Do you want to cut that for me, the bottom?
Here?
Yeah. And then we can cut this one. Not usually a 2-person job. Yeah. And then I use the static on my ribbons today.
Do you prefer the shiny or the?
I prefer this.
I prefer this one as well. I don't like a shiny ribbon.
A lot of girls in the Vaganova had shiny. Do you remember?
I remember.
And it kind of looked nice on them.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm not a shiny person.
Wait, I want to try. Try how mine feels.
This is from. Yours is nice too. Yeah, and yours, I feel like more accurately would match your tights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas mine are a little bit pinkier, but I just like how it looks with the shoes. I also really enjoy the colour of my point shoes now. When I first had Bob Martin, they were kind of freed looking, so quite orange. Whereas this really blends into the tights.
I don't like a very shiny shoe though.
No.
Like I rarely do anything. Some people do what's called pancaking.
We had to do that at the Royal Ballet School.
Yeah, they put powder on it. I don't do that, but I like when it's not brand new anymore, as some of the shine comes off, and I think that's nice.
What was quite nice at Vaganova though, at the school, because even at the Royal Ballet School, we all had to wear fried, and we all had to pancake our shoes. Yeah, nightmare. But at the Vaganova, they were quite flexible in like both body and I'm joking, and in what we could use. You know, like I was wearing block, you were wearing Gaynor Minden, someone else was wearing Grishko, and then even our ribbons, some were shiny. Yeah, you know, they really didn't care.
They didn't care. No.
No. They cared about our turnout there.
Yeah, they cared about the technique, not so much about what kind of ribbon you're wearing.
Even what leotard we wore for a time. They really didn't care.
No, yeah.
It was nice, actually.
Yeah.
So now, tell us how you're putting it on.
Well, I usually use this, there's a little seam here. So I use that as a marker. I put it on the side of the heel of that seam, so sort of like behind that seam. And then I put it on a bit of a slant, because if you put it like this or straight, then it's going to make an ugly, like, little thing here.
Yeah, because basically you align it with the diagonal of how it's going to go
so you
up.
put it in a bit of a diagonal so that when you tie your shoe, it goes nicely and doesn't make any weird fabric.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just place it there. I leave maybe 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter.
Now, do you fold the ribbon? Because what I do is I actually
fold it.
I make a little fold.
Oh, I should try that actually. I don't do that.
It just feels nice. I feel like it's even more secure because I have like double.
Because see, it does get like that.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
so
I should try that actually, but now I can't because this is already cut. But I always use a lighter to burn this end. Otherwise, as you will see here,
it frays.
It frays a lot. Yeah. So just lighter and you burn it, so then you won't have that problem. And then you place it here, just like that. And I usually start in this top corner, and I usually go through just because there is this inner fabric, I go through that. Yeah. And just go around.
We'll keep going. I'll tell you how I do mine.
Okay.
So I tend to do similar. I fold the top here like this, which then kind of creates this little place where you can put it in. So you put it in the little pocket like that. Same on a diagonal. So I go about there. Now I've noticed, Suvi, some people go like here with their ribbons.
I feel like that's a bit too far.
Like the seam.
Yeah,
because your seam is further back, no?
My seam is much further back, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, because mine's so far forwards on the seam, that would be too forwards for me. So I have to go a little bit further back. Not so far back like this, but just in between the seam and the end and on a diagonal. And similar to you, except I tend to start from the bottom. I go through, making sure that it doesn't go on the outside of the fabric, because basically it's not aesthetically pleasing if you can see the thread on the outside. So you have to go through.
I sometimes poke through also the outer layer. And
what, you personally? I sometimes poke through.
I just poke through the shoe. No, but I mean the needle, obviously.
Yeah, I'm joking. I just had that image.
Yeah, and yeah, it happens. And when it happens, see, I don't really care that much.
Yeah, well,
it shows.
It shows, yeah. Now, when you get to the top, that's the most important bit, because what you don't want is to ever sew through the drawstring. Because if you sew through the drawstring, you won't be able to adjust and pull it up anymore, which is a big no-no. So actually what I do is, I don't actually go, I'm interested to know what you do. I don't go through across the top at all. I just go through the bottom seam of the drawstring there, and then down. So actually when I pull it, it comes away a little bit like that.
Yeah, so I do the same actually.
Yeah. So it doesn't, some people I think actually loop over.
Oh yeah, I don't do that.
No, I don't do that either. So yeah, let's just do one.
Sometimes if I'm lazy and I know that I'm going to use the shoes in just rehearsals and never on stage, I'll just go in and out through both fabrics. Even though the thread will be showing on the other side. But if it's just for a rehearsal, I don't really care so much.
And in terms of how often do you go through your shoes? Like, let's say you know, in your heaviest period where you're doing like a lot of work?
I'll go maybe through 1 pair a week.
1 pair a week?
Yeah.
And are you circulating?
Yes, so usually I don't wear 1 pair until it's dead and then put it away. I have maybe 5 pairs that I am able to use at the same time.
Different strengths?
Different strengths, yeah. Some, I know, like this pair is really good for pirouettes. This pair feels good for balancing, so I'm gonna put it aside for something important.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So I always have a ton of pairs ready to go.
Yeah. In terms of breaking in your shoes, because obviously, you know, I would always use puddeder, puddeders to break them in because, you know, most of the time we're like doing pirouettes or supported. Yeah. It's not like there's a lot of jumps involved. Yeah. Or like in class, in company class, you know, use that time like the bar, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, how would you, like what sort of role or scenario would you wear new shoes for?
Well, the most perfect thing was flower waltz in Nutcracker.
Yeah.
We did the Wayne Eagling version, which is the one that they do here as well, I believe, and
yes,
and also in Het National. So for the corps de ballet, the flower waltz, it's like a pique fouette, 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 pointe, pom-pom. So it's perfect for a new shoe because you really have to stand there, and it's the great opportunity to break it in. Like I could put new shoes on for that, on stage.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm finishing tying off one side.
I'm done with it already.
Yeah, so I'm just going to show how I actually tie the knot. Because sometimes...
Oh, sorry, I didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you should be sorry. So, joking. So I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit. It's not amazing. So I'm just going to cut off some of the end strands that are a bit messy. And then the final bit here, I tend to do... Because I worried sometimes that if I just cut it off...
It's going to unravel.
It would unravel, yeah. So I tended to do... I used to loop around. Maybe even a few times. And then... basically draw it in. So it makes a bit of a knot.
Yeah. I'll show what I do.
Yeah, go on then.
I mean, I already did it, but I go like this.
Yeah.
Like that. In.
It's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Like that, and then I cut.
Exactly. I just did that like a few more times because I'm more anxious than you.
It's because you don't use floss.
Yes. In terms of elastic, do you use elastic? Well, yeah, you got a huge one.
I use a big one.
A big elastic.
A big one. Yeah. I use a very strong and thick one.
Where do you buy that? Because it's actually quite hard to find ballet elastics sometimes.
I buy this at the hardware store.
Okay, so not even a ballet shop.
No.
Yeah. Well, I get these elastics. I actually have used a lot of elastics. I don't have one of them here with me, but one of them essentially does what this does, except it's much thinner. So I usually have one right at the back, which I would, let's pretend it's this, and it would basically just be a loop really close together to hold the ankle on. Yeah. But because my arches are quite high, what I would also do is put one a little there for the vamp, and then I would also do a crisscross as well. So
I remember.
So I do that and that.
Yeah.
So I was really like, she's in.
She's in.
She's not popping out of those.
No, she's not.
Yeah.
She's held in her shoe.
Yeah. Well, let's sew a bit of the elastic.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I do basically just heel loop. So I just sew this very close together here, and it helps me feel like the shoe is securely on my foot. And I don't have such a high arch, so I don't need so much anything extra actually. This is the only elastic that I sew. Yeah,
I mean also we should talk about some places don't necessarily like it if you have a lot of elastic on, you know. Like Suvi's director not letting her wear the gain on Mindens, like he might have been very picky about other things. Was he fine with this?
Or
whoever, you know.
So I was once told in rehearsal that it's too white, it shows too much. And this was actually when I was putting on the shoe. So they were like, that's too white.
Even though they couldn't see it usually.
And I was like, okay. And then, because when I put the ribbons on, you can't see the elastic almost at all. And especially from the stage to the audience, you can't see it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I'll change it. And then I didn't. And then after the performance, the same person was like, it was much better like this. And I was like, same elastic, but thanks.
Yeah. So she was a bit cheeky and she kept it.
A bit cheeky.
Right, so I'm just going to like roughly sew it so that we get an idea. But yeah, essentially what you don't want to do is have that showing. And then just loop it behind. Now, here's a good question though, because some people with the elastics at the back, they can keep it on the inside, right? But the inside can take up quite a lot of room and make you feel, it can also rub. And some people actually sew on the outside.
I sew on the inside.
Yeah.
And mine's very thick.
Yeah, I think there was a period I went through where I tried on the outside, but it seemed like it was just a bit too obvious and a bit messy. So yeah, I've gone back
I go to the inside.
Yeah. And how long roughly does it take you to sew your shoes? We're not going to do obviously the whole thing today.
Maybe 20 minutes if I...
20 minutes?
Yeah, because I have very simple tick, 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 tick.
Well, yeah, I guess
Maybe
I've got
half
a lot
an
more
hour.
elastic than you.
Yeah.
Mine tends to take a lot longer than that. But that's why as well I don't darn. That's another reason. It's like I've already done all this blooming elastic.
Yeah. So I have a question for you.
All right, cool.
Do you do something to your shoes, like, because some people like to personalize them when they get them, like break this or like crack that?
Yeah.
Do you do any of that stuff?
Oh, yes. 100%. Yeah, I do. And I'll show you when we get to that. But I'm quite low maintenance when it comes to breaking in. Like I know a lot of people pick the shoe apart, but I think I'm lucky in the sense that my shoes are custom made. So a lot of the specifications that other people would want with their shoes, mine's essentially already been done.
Right.
You know, so I don't need to pick the sole apart so much. I don't need to do much more than just stomping on the front and breaking in the top of the heel. What I have mentioned in a previous video before is I do steam them though.
Oh.
So I steam the shoes and then put them on.
Oh.
I actually did this at school, but maybe you never noticed because I was in the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew. What did you use to steam it? Like just hot tea water?
Yeah.
Or like from the kettle?
From the kettle. So I'd get the kettle and it would be boiling, and then as it's boiling, you hold the bottom, and you just the steam's coming out, you go like that, so the steam goes in like that, and you hold for a few seconds, then you release, hold it for a few seconds. So then it's kind of moist, warm, and a bit damp. Then you then you put the shoes on. Yeah? No giggling. Then you put the shoes on, and it kind of molds to your foot. But then I would put the grandma socks on, and not rise up and not releve in the shoes at all, because I don't want them to break. I would just walk in them so they mold.
How come I never saw this?
Yeah. You were too busy watching Friends.
True.
Yeah. And so then, other than that, one key feature to my breaking in process was jet glue.
Jet glue.
So I would always feel like you need to jet glue before you actually dance, because if I just put them on and waited, then basically they would break straight away. Whereas I tended to jet glue on the toe, down the sides, and also down the outside, just making sure it doesn't bleed into... Do you want to hear something really funny?
Yeah.
So when I was at the Royal Ballet School, I had a growth spurt where I grew... You know this. Oh, you know the story.
Go for it.
where I grew really quick. Essentially, my feet grew first. So I really felt like self-conscious about my feet, like the size of my feet, because everyone else around me was like pretty much 5'2", and I really felt like I was almost like a clown, like I had these clown feet, massive, and I was really self-conscious on the number on the bottom. I was like, it can't say. I think it's actually more accurate now. I was like, it can't say 6.5, like it can't. Most of them say like 3.5. And I'm like, mine says 6, and I feel really embarrassed by that. It was actually, I felt so insecure.
Oh no.
So because I have custom shoes, I said to the shoemaker, I was like, can you stamp a different number on the bottom so that people think my feet are smaller? And he was like, I can do anything you want. So he was like, cool, what number? And I was like, maybe a 4 might be a bit too obvious. Let's go for a 5. I think 5 would be great. So for a time it said 5 on the bottom, even though I was 6.5. You know, so then we would go, what size are you? And I go, I'm a 5.
I'm a 5. Look, it says 5. I'm a 5.
But also, the teachers hated my pointe shoes at the time. I was wearing Freed. And they're like, Isabella, your shoes look like boats. They look like boats.
Sorry. It's on you.
You spat on me. It's fine, I'm used to it. Like, yeah, your shoes look like boats. And like that sort of comment as well made me feel really self-conscious. Like, oh, I've got these gigantic boats on my feet. I'm glad you're enjoying this, my trauma. So yeah, and it was actually really horrible to share another story. When I had these, here we go. We were on tour, the Royal Ballet School, we were on this exchange going to the Vaganova Academy. Yeah, this was before I got in, this was before anything. I was 15. And she was like, your shoes look like boats, Isabella, our teacher. She was like, you've got to change shoes. And then she went to one of the upper school students and was like, can you give Isabella some of your shoes? And it was blocked, and they were 3 sizes too small. And she was like, put them on. So I was like Cinderella. I was like one of those, the sisters going like this, trying to get it on. It will fit. Yeah, literally. And then I put it on, and I had no room for padding. My toes were scrunched.
Oh no.
And she was like, you'll wear those tomorrow for the performance. Yeah.
Horrible.
So I wore shoes 3 sizes too small.
That's
It
horrible.
was the most, and I had bruised toenails. It was like the worst. It was horrible.
I can't imagine having to dance suddenly in someone else's shoes. It was such a different feeling.
Yeah.
That also was really deep.
Yeah, metaphorical. To be in her shoes.
I can't imagine
There were
dancing in her shoes.
Well, I did. They're 3 sizes too small. Yeah.
So I cut the bottom. If you can see here, there is this thick black material.
Oh yes.
And then
the
it
sole.
stops. Yeah, then it stops.
Yeah.
So what I do is I tear this leather back.
Can we see?
No, because then I can't put it back on.
Okay, forget it.
So I tear it back.
Yeah.
And then I take a carpet knife, which you have to be very careful with. It's very, very...
Like a Stanley knife.
I don't know what
It's
that is.
the one that looks like a triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, really sharp.
Yeah, very sharp. And then I go...
Yes.
And then I take it off, and then I glue the leather back on. So I like that I have this feeling right below the heel.
Yeah, then
It's
you're
like
like
drilling into my heel. And I feel very high up on the shoe.
Yeah, great. You know what, as well, you've reminded me, with the Stanley knife, now if you're super young watching this, don't do this.
Don't
you need
do
like
this.
a parent to do it.
No.
But basically, what I used to do, you have to slice down as well onto a surface you don't
Away, not to your body.
Never.
Away.
Not to your body.
She died doing what she loves.
Yes.
Sewing her pointe shoes.
And ironically, she was rehearsing Romeo and
And
Juliet.
Knife, go to chest.
These are for my debut. Oh, too late.
She died with bloody pointe shoes in her hands.
So basically, you slice down. Let's pretend with the scissors. So you would get the Stanley knife and you'd slice down. And basically what that does is it would create sort of seams in the demi-point. So when I would go on demi-point, the sole would almost open a little bit, making it easier. And I'd also do it where you did, right there.
Yeah.
Pa.
Pa.
Making it bend a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when they first show up, they're actually quite solid. But very quickly, they become
like this. Yeah.
So basically,
ASMR.
That popping sound is the sole. It pops at the bottom. So that this is more pliable when I go on demi-point and stuff like that. But look, I've barely bent them and already they bend more.
Yeah.
You know? Exactly.
Mine bend
Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay, great. Yes, one final thing. So in my shoes, look at this toe pad. I've got a purple one.
Wow.
I know. Purple power.
Jazzy.
Jazzy, yeah. So I tend to wear just a toe pad, but what I do is actually cut the bottom. So when you put the toe pad on, I don't like it how it covers the whole toe on the bottom. Like I want to feel the floor. So I tend to cut so it just comes underneath so that the ball of my foot could feel the floor, but I was still covered.
Yeah.
You know. And on top of that, I would wear a gel toe cap. The ones that have rounded on the top, I would wear that on my big toe. And these ones you can cut essentially. And I actually wore quite a lot of padding because, you know, just fragile feet, I guess. So I'd wear a big toe cap and then I'd cut this for my little toe. Because also my toes are very long and also very bony. So it was just like quite vulnerable in there. I would also tape all of my feet. Do you remember?
This.
So I used to tape my feet every morning.
Because it was the whole thing.
Because when the teacher would say, "Dziewczki, palce, одевайте," you know, put your pointe shoes on. We have like 2 minutes, no time
for Isabella to start taping
every
all her
single toe.
toes.
So I tape them every morning. So even when you see me in soft shoes, my toes are taped. Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case, just in case.
You never know.
Yeah, and occasionally I would tape as well the top of my metatarsal because sometimes the glue, for example, sometimes there would be accidental glue and it would become really rough and it would hurt here.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you?
So I just wear a simple ouch pouch.
Yes.
And I actually want to try what you said, cutting it from this side. But as you can see, it always wears out in the same spot, which is where my big toe is.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, I just wear this, and I might occasionally, if I have a blister, I might use some tape.
It's so cute, like a little.
I know.
Little grandma with her purse.
It's Marimekko. It's a Finnish brand. Super cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might use some tape, but I get blisters quite rarely. Yeah.
She's low maintenance.
Yeah, I'm low maintenance. I just pop this on, put the pointe shoe on, and I'm done. And then I'm like, Isabella, taking so long.
Yes, but I'm the type of person who wants to avoid things happening. So I will prepare for the worst, you know, so that I'm never surprised by...
My toes are just low maintenance.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this video, and do let us know how you prepare your pointe shoes, if it's in any way slightly different, whether it's the sewing or even how you break in your shoes. We would love to know because everyone, most of the time, is different. Yes, and hope you had a good time. We will see you soon.
Wave with the pointe shoe.